Dun, 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 dun.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Silverline's Wednesday Night WHAM, hosted by no one.
Nobody in particular.
So
We're just gonna make it up. I saw Scott said that he was on the way. I saw that on our group chat.
So yeah, our normal leader is on his way, and that is why I've titled tonight's stream "Figuring It Out," because that's what we'll be doing for most of it. It seems.
Yeah, I saw that. I was going to ask you about that.
So yeah, we are the Silverline Wednesday Night Whammers for now, and we will go with some introductions. I'll do some announcements, explain our for now, as well as talk about our advertisers, and then we will go into an hour and a half of vamping, probably.
Fun little comic book.
Sounds good to me.
Yes. All right. Brent, why don't you introduce yourself, what you do, where people can find you?
How would I introduce myself? I would introduce myself by saying, "Hi, everybody. My name
There
is
you go.
Brent
That's
Larson.
oh.
I'm the writer and creator of the Silverline comic book, Kalis. Also, I'm the writer and creator of the upcoming Silverline book, Cape Town. Coming to you soon, I hope, as soon as possible. You can also find me at Instagram at Brent.Vector and also on Facebook at Brent Larson. Please come and visit. I'd love to chat at any available time you have. Thank you.
And how much
Good
do you
night.
charge? That voice is one of those kind of voices that you pay money to talk to, I think.
Like a 1-900 number.
That's what I was going to say. Hi, what are you wearing?
Khakis. All right, Tommy.
I'm done.
All right.
I don't you can keep going if you want, but I don't know if I have that creativity. But...
We're good. Yeah. Save your creativity for your scripts. I'll pass it on to Tommy.
Yeah, my name is Thomas Florimonte Jr. I've been doing comics for some 30 some odd years, early 90s. I've worked for pretty much everybody at one point or the other. I'm just going to show this little piece of paper that I had to write down the current stuff I'm doing with Silverline. So here, you guys can just take a screenshot. There you go. There you go. There it is. That's what I'm working on. So if you got to rewind that, you can. And just
Pretty sure some of the...
finished the Trump's book, issue 1, which was had 2 issues in one, and we're working on the second one now. I'll be inking some of that book. We're almost done inking and coloring. All the pencils are done, and of the I can't hear nothing. Okay, I got to put that back in, otherwise I can't hear. The Champion Mystery book. That Pete and Roberta are doing the pencils, and she's inking or coloring it, and I'm inking. Roland Mann is the writer. I'm also working with Dean on the Silverblade book. When we're starting to jam on that, as soon as I can get done with this other stuff, we'll get to. Well, we've been working on it a little bit, but we're going to get heavy on that. And also working on the Rejects book with Mr. C. Michael Lanning, which is usually on the Wednesday show, but he's not here tonight. And I'm the co-owner of the comic book printing company, Kablam. And I also do my own creator-owned stuff under the Inferno Studios. I like to call my books a kid hero kind of fun books for everybody kind of stuff. But there you go.
Alrighty. And
Next,
Mr. Dean.
Hi, my name's Dean Zachary. I've been in comics as long as Tommy has and done things for Malibu and DC and Dark Horse, among others. You may have seen my work on The Nightman, The Ferret, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Batman, and even a Wonder Woman story and a Halloween special. You can find me working now for Silverline and working on the upcoming book. We're in a Christmas preview called Silver Blade. That is in progress. And you can find me at Facebook and Comic Art Fans. And that's it. Take it away, Tim.
All right, I'm Tim TK. I am the associate editor at Silverline and the writer/creator of Wolf Hunter. I am also the producer of the Wednesday night WHAM show, and starting next week with our new schedule, I'll be taking over a West Coast-based Tuesday night show, which we don't have a title yet for. So right now I'm calling it Double TBD, Tuesdays to be determined. And
Terrible Tuesday.
Yep.
No,
And
let's not do that.
I am going to be figuring out what exactly we'll be just get riff-raffing on for the next little bit here. I'm guessing we're just going to start talking and see where the natural course of conversation takes us. And I would like to thank our sponsors for this madness. That is going to be... Oh man, everything got changed around on this. All right. Daytona Beach Comic Convention, which is going to be happening this fall. You can find dates on their website at DaytonaBeachComicCon.com. And they are going to be hosting a Silverline booth, I believe, as well. And our other sponsor of our regularly scheduled programming is History List and History Camp America, July 10th, 2021. That is going to be a day-long digital history convention where they're going to be talking about some historical figures, and they also have a weekly, I guess, kind of an email blast where they have historians talk about events and figures throughout history. They are, of course, partnered with our recently kickstarted Steam Patriots, as well as Wolf Hunter, which should be coming to you later this year. And the second issue next year, featuring a cover by Mr. Dean Zachary and inked by Mr. Flormonti.
Yeah, I'm gonna start working on that one. I'm gonna ink it on paper so that way, because everybody knows I do a lot of stuff digitally. So I'm gonna ink it on paper so that way we can use it as a Kickstarter reward, because I believe the piece you and I, Dean, did on the last Kickstarter sold like the first day, I think.
Yeah.
So it went
Awesome.
pretty quick.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll try to refrain from buying it myself.
Well, I guess we could. I didn't think about that. Maybe we won't put it on the Kickstarter. Maybe you'll just end up with it.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, I mean, I am going to do it on paper, so that way it'll be whatever happens to it.
It'll be collectible.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll settle for the NFT copy of it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dang, we're going to go back and talk about that again. That was a mess. But just a little bit of information on the last Kickstarter stuff. The order has been turned into Kablam. I started working on it today, getting all the files prepped and stuff, and we will start printing on it here in the next few days to the next week. So hopefully within a week or so that should be done, and everybody that helped with the Kickstarter, contributed, bought whatever it is that you bought, you should be able to get your books pretty quick here. So that's good.
Yeah.
Nice. So, Tim, we were talking earlier off the air about how do you pitch a book? I'm sure there are a lot of aspiring creators out there or inquiring minds who may want to know how the sausage gets made behind the scenes, and how do we come up with a way to pitch our titles to fans when we're at a show? How do you go about that? And do you have a pitch for your book?
Yeah, so to dig back into MFA brain, there's something you have to learn in your portfolio classes, and that is your log line. And it's traditionally a thing used in film, but it's since started being used as well for other forms of publishing and writing, and that's essentially how do you summarize your story in a way that also makes it appealing. And so typically you use that when you're talking to an editor or publisher, because not only do you have to tell them what the story is about, perhaps a bit more concisely than like the box paragraph, the box copy, but you also have to make them interested in it as well, make them want to buy it. And we kind of learned that having that logline basis helps you distill it down into your one sentence pitch. So understanding what your story is helps immensely in trying to sell it to people. And then turn it into a question, because that's why people follow stories, is they want to know what happens. And if you can turn it into a question based around a character, even better, because they want to know that they're going to like someone, and they're going to want to know that they want to know what happens to them. I mean, that was the whole thing with Matlock, right? Everyone knew he's going to get the guy, but they needed to know how he's going to do it. So for me, breaking down Wolf Hunter, I knew from a theme point I wanted it to be World War II style espionage action. And I knew I wanted it to be a secret history style story, so not quite alternate history, but just the this is the stuff that they redacted in the history books. And so my question came from, okay, well, what happened if there were spies in London, which we know they were. We don't have, but the thing that made it really fun for me is the fact that we don't have an exact number of how many German spies were in London at the time, what all their positions were, and what all they were doing at the time. So I said, well, what if we did know, and what if there's one guy who was hunting them down and kind of going John Wick through some parts of London? And so my pitch for Wolf Hunter was, it's World War II espionage action that asks, what if there was a spy hunter waging a secret war in the streets of London? And that's my through line, is just figuring out what happens to this one spy hunter. And so far, I've had positive interest on asking that question, because other people are also nerdy about spy history. What about yourself, Dean?
That's a good question. Well, first of all, I want to reiterate one of the themes that people know me by, and that is, creativity without calculation. So my first criterion was, do I think it's cool? Mm-hmm. Do I want to read this?
Yeah.
I didn't want to calculate for an audience. I didn't want to calculate for a demographic. I didn't want to calculate for what do the kids like these days. I'll do something like that, because I just don't like doing that. So I thought I would love to know if there was a secret society of knights, maybe a spinoff of the Templars, in London in the Victorian era, because that's such a cool era artistically and visually, and it's mysterious, and so much of literature came out of that era. You're talking about things like the Dracula and that sort of gothic fiction, and people are still drawn to that. Some people call it steampunk. That's a particular genre, but at any rate, this had a feel to it that I liked. So I'd love to find out about the secret societies, because that always intrigued me. And then I thought, well, if you got a good secret society, well, you got a bad one too. And what if they were having some secret war behind the scenes that'd been going on for centuries, let's say? So that became the world. So I started to build a world, and I wanted to bring in an American, so I brought an American into London for reasons that are revealed along the story. But the question I wanted to answer was, since we're fighting monsters in this particular piece and supernatural evil, one of the traditional weapons against supernatural evil is the metal silver. And I'm sure this has been addressed probably in some offhand explanations. Well, it's a pure metal, and that's why it destroys evil beings. But I wanted to go a little deeper and come up with my own version of why the metal silver and vampires and other monsters as well. So I tied that into the spinoff of the Templar Knights and came up with a fictional order of knights that's centered around the idea of this sacred silver, and I address why it defeats evil. And that was the question that, as I was telling you guys off air, that's the question that got the people most excited about Silver was, why does silver defeat evil beings? And so far, it's gotten some attention and gotten some interest. And so working on that, revealing it as late in the story as I can. And we were talking about, with the pitch, a log line, so to speak. Usually what I'll do is I'll just give the setting first and then the characters. Female archaeologist, retired American U.S. cavalry adventurer, and then I'll give the why does silver defeat evil line, and that's really all I have to say, and most people are intrigued enough to stay interested. So that's where it is now.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Tim? Would that get you interested in it, or is that like
absolutely? I'm a guy where all I need is a good setting that I'm in. So from a marketing perspective, I don't need to be marketed too heavily. If the setting is cool, I'm in 100%. Right. So the second, like you had mentioned Silverblade, you're like, it's Victorian era monster stuff. I'm like, all right, I'm in. I don't.
That's all, yeah.
Cool. But I do like how now we're maybe establishing a secondary Silverline universe in London.
I know. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right.
And just to reiterate here at the very very end of this segment, the potential for a crossover has been bandied about. So we're going to leave it up to the creative minds in the company to figure out, some sort of Doctor Who style time travel deal. Can, I don't know, join them all, or perhaps a dimensional rift of some sort.
Yeah, that
might be cool. Just a thought.
Scott and I have joked about doing like the alternate universe where one of our characters finds a time portal and it ends up shooting them into.
Oh yeah.
But it'd be interesting to have Willard on the other side of the American Revolution. Captain Willard being the RAF group captain that plays the role of the protagonist in Wolf Hunter, but he's also staunchly British, so I'm not sure how will he take to the colonies.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Right.
Yeah, I'd like to see Captain Blake, my retired U.S. cavalry officer, circa 1892, and the staunchly British female archaeologist Elizabeth Dane, and how they would fare in that American Revolution.
Yeah.
So that would be kind of cool too.
Yes, absolutely. Brent, how about yourself?
Well, one thing I was going to say was, I'm just now realizing Scott Anders, the hero in Kalis, joined the army in World War II and actually was drafted by the OSS to be a spy on the Nazis' possible nuclear program. So actually, of course they would have run into each other. What?
Yeah.
Well,
awesome.
I wrote a story about that, but ended up having to cut it because I didn't have the space. So maybe one day.
I don't know. Maybe we'll throw in some dossiers in Wolf Hunter Volume 2.
Yes. We'll call it the Kalis dossier.
There you go. Kalis Files.
Okay. So that Kalis is the story of an astronaut with a CIA-backed space program that disappears into space in the 60s, and then modern day crashes to Earth, is seemingly immortal, and then begins his quest, which is to get back to where he came from. So the story follows as we find out where has he been, why does he want to go back, and who is the secret society that is trying to keep him from leaving. That's pretty much what I would say.
Yes. Stephen Brown in YouTube land. Hi, welcome to the chat. We are mostly improving tonight.
Yeah. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
But Kalos is also one of those things where just the initial premise before even getting into the why of it as already sold. I can be very easy sell, especially when it comes to secret histories or spy stuff. So the fact that we have three books that are all secret history spy type stuff with great settings,
Yeah. I think that's actually what sold me on the story, because I was like, okay, so it's like superheroes, only modern day, and they have modern problems. That's becoming less and less interesting as a selling point, because there's like dozens of books out there that do the same thing. In fact, they're now being turned into TV shows. Okay, fine. But some kind of revisionist history is always kind of fun, just because our society is probably getting more distrustful by the day. So the idea that the government is withholding stuff from us that's very key is, we practically believe it already.
Yeah.
So, is there existence of aliens?
Well, we're
probably not quite there yet, but I'll bet you we're closer than we were even in the 50s.
Was that thing?
We were scared of the commies. Now we're like,
yeah. Well, you see the Air Force just they had that release where they confirmed they have no idea what this most recent bout of footage is, and like, it could be aliens at this point. We don't know.
Yeah.
Which I don't know what's scarier, guys. I don't know whether aliens is scarier or some sort of advanced technology that the Chinese or the Russians have. What's scarier, right? That we don't know what that is. It's like, what?
Aliens all the way.
It's just ow.
Well,
but I was going to ask you, Brent, do you have plans to? And you can say maybe, or you can confirm or deny. To bring in the sort of this modern alien cover-up idea into Kalos even more?
Yes. In fact, and we will go more into this in issue 3, which hopefully will get kickstarted. It's already drawn and lettered, and will hopefully be kickstarted in another month or two.
Yes.
The secret group that has actually been withholding evidence about Kalos has in fact been in existence for most of, probably since the mid 1800s. And in terms of what Kalos refers to, is something that I don't deal with until issue 4, so I feel like I can talk about that a little less. But that's also been drawn, and I think is in the process of being lettered. But the idea that a group that has been in formation for dozens and dozens of years with just one purpose, and that is to suppress evidence of this phenomena in space, and what that phenomena actually is I was like, dude, that's something I'd want to read.
Yeah.
So I better write it. Let it go.
I think the last pitch that really got me super sold on book was actually James Tynion's oh wow, I just lost it. Department of Truth. And the log line is just, what if every conspiracy theory you ever heard was true? And there's one organization that maintains the universal truth.
Interesting.
So that's been a fun read.
I remember you telling me, I think that was your comic of choice of last year or something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, it was
kind of been on my short list.
Yeah, that is absolutely my comic of the year for last year. It's been so good. And the art also is very non-traditional, which I like. It's kind of rough, sketchy lines, very impressionistic.
I will give it a spin for sure.
Speaking of pitching and what ifs, one of the things that is kind of has the market research to back it is that some people will pick up a book just based off of cover art or the art style inside. And one of the things that sold me on a book recently was Duncan Jones' book, Maddie, Once Upon a Time in the Future, was the fact that they described it as a collaborative story where it changed perspective, and each time they did, it was a different artist. So they described it more almost like an art collection rather than just by the story itself. So for you guys, maybe more so Dean and Tommy, do you almost sometimes find yourself wanting to pitch or sell a book more on the art, or do you find yourself drawn to the art more than the story sometimes?
All the time.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because y'all kind of skipped over me about selling stuff. See, all of my books are cutesy art stuff. So this goes into your question. Yeah, I try to, I like books that just pop, on the stand or if you're walking by a table, and because I've seen so many books, because of Kablam and through Indie Planet and all that kind of stuff. Maybe I'm jaded, but it's for some reason the book has just got to go, Thomas, look at me, and then because I see so much art, so much different stuff. So I really need to, for me, I don't. It's a weird thing, but the book has just got to scream at me lately for me to be interested, because I've got so many things that I can read, day to day. Like just today, for instance, I think I packed about 30 different books, and I'm sitting there looking at them as I'm packing them up and stuff, and it's overwhelming sometimes, all the stuff. So yeah, for me, the book really needs to kind of the cover, especially, it's got to just jump out at me, and so when I design my own books, I try to do something, it's always like having something to do with what's going on in the book, on the cover. But I try to just come up with something that, especially since I'm doing stuff mostly for young readers and all that kind of stuff, it's hard enough to get their attention. I really want to go, grab them by the neck and say, hey, look, that kind of thing. So I'm not sure if that answered your question, but yeah, the cover needs to scream at me. For just me personally, it's got to just yell. So like your cover that Dean did for your new thing, I think it's going to be a really cool cover once we start jamming on it. I'll probably get to work on it here in the next week or so. But that's a really neat cover. That'll look really good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Thanks. For me, it's the art first that will get me to pick it up, and then if I can get a very quick idea of the premise, then I'm there. I'm like you guys. I'm pretty easy sell if I'm interested in the concept. But what'll get me to pull it off the shelf is definitely the art, and if the story's great, that's a bonus. But if the story's terrible but the art is just spectacular, I will still pick it up because of what I do.
Well, it's like you're getting that, for me, when grab a book that I didn't quite like the story, but I keep getting it for the art. It's like I get it because I'm trying to learn something from the way that the guy inks something, or the way that the way that he's drawing it, or the way that it was colored. There's something about it that's not just because I'm liking it, but I'm liking it because it just looks really good. Maybe the story stunk, but I keep getting it because I'm trying to learn. Trying to make my creative, my inking, my coloring, my drawing, my penciling, better. So I'm kind of like with Dean. If it doesn't necessarily have to be good for me to keep buying it, as long as it looks good, I'm like, this artist kicks butt. This is really great looking. I don't know what the story's about, but I'm going to study the pages. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and just to, another thing story-wise, I don't know how you guys respond to this, but as writers, I'd be curious to hear you guys. If a writer is too clever by half, if he's trying a little bit too hard to be the next Alan Moore, some writers do, like Grant Morrison tends to do that sometimes. Jonathan Hickman tends to do that. Tom King tends to do that. I will get lost as far as what they're trying to say, but those writers tend to bring premium artists along with their projects. So I'll, still keep buying the book. So they've got me, anyway. But I tend to like more straightforward writing, like Brubaker or Matt Fraction or Chuck Dixon, even from the older days, where it was just hard hitting, right in your face, action adventure, boom, boom, boom. If it had some subplots, some twists and turns, I'm cool with that. But I don't know, a lot of these guys, these super clever, guys are writing like they've memorized the encyclopedia to their publisher's universe, right?
Yeah.
And so they expect you to know it, and if you don't know it, they're not going to cut you any slack when they're writing it. And so there's almost an elitist feel to the tone of their books. Do you guys feel that? I'm going to let you guys just sort of riff on what I've said from a writer's perspective.
Sam, you want to go first?
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly a lot that you can do to overbake your story, and that'll burn a lot of people out. There's a phrase which one of my professors used, which I picked up and I like. It's character first, clarity second. And so everything is done in relation to the plot, because otherwise your story is the old man in the sea, and that doesn't work in comics. But having a story that has good, relatable characters that you enjoy, but also that is clear, is going to do a lot more to drive the story forward, as well as keep people interested. And so you can do things that are smart or subtle, but there's still moments where the fog clears. Something that I try to pull on for Wolf Hunter is what I liked about Altered Carbon was the fact that there's a lot of the story was told subtly, but there are still moments where the next step was made brutally clear, and it was a gut punch to the character, and therefore is a gut punch to the reader. And so, I mean, it's very possible to see through like where things are lying or where people are lying, but you can still have the story told through lies and half-truths, as long as at some point you're like, here's what's actually happening, or the half-truths aren't fully masking it, and you're not just stuck there wondering, okay, who was flying the plane the entire time? Why are we here? There needs to be a moment. There needs to be moments of clarity. And with a lot of I do like some of the writers you mentioned, and some of the other books, they do moments where they don't clear it up. You're stuck in the mud the entire time, which can be smart and can be, if done well for character or plot. Otherwise, you're stuck there feeling unrewarded because nothing is made clear. The characters didn't progress, and the plot was not served. So you're kind of, it feels kind of pointless.
Yeah, I would say I agree for the most part. I actually like some of the writers you mentioned too, Dean. But I kind of know what you mean, because and to tell you the truth, I don't mind necessarily an elitist kind of mindset, because frankly, the fact is those guys have a story they want to tell, and if they got a style, if I can roll with their style, I'll stick with them for at least a little while. Mostly because it's almost like in a movie, if something is opaque, it's the director's fault. But in comics, it's more like it's the writer's prerogative to reveal what he or she wants to when he or she wants to. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot more leeway to do that. And they probably take too much, like I think I mentioned last week. I love Hickman's writing, but he's so heady. Like East of West, was a really popular series. I bought every issue. I can't tell you what it's about. It's beyond me. And please don't ask me to ever summarize. Like, that guy doesn't. I'll bet you he doesn't know how to do a log line. His log lines are like redwood sized. So no, and that definitely doesn't work for guys like us, where we're doing an issue at a time that may come out 1 or 2 issues a year. Can you imagine a Hickman book that comes out 1 issue a year? I mean, nobody would buy it by virtue of the fact that they can't roll with it's just too big. So what I find when I'm writing a book is I'm trying to look for some kind of a narrative hook that, even if people don't necessarily know the entire story, they can hook onto something that entertains them in a way. So, like, for example, Kalis issue 3, the hook is that it takes place entirely inside a diner, and there's an assassin trying to kill everybody inside. Okay, that's really the thrust of the entire series, or the episode issue. Why is he doing it? Well, you'll have to know more about the whole story. What are the repercussions of it? You'll have to stick around. But at least if all you're in for is this 1 issue, okay, bad guy outside, good guys inside, and maybe hopefully they can stick with that. Like, I'm right. The first issue of Cape Town, I don't think I'm giving too much away. My favorite narrative hook in that is it's about a superhero who's on the phone constantly with his wife while he's fighting crime, because she's like his handler. And it makes for all kinds of really fun banter. And I showed it to people who are like, this is great. I've never seen a superhero story that did this. And I'm like, hey, all right, maybe I'm onto something. And if they don't keep going, okay, fine. But the whole interplay between these 2 characters is a fun hook that I feel like I can run with for who knows how long. But that, I think, really helps a lot. I love Brian K. Vaughan's writing. It feels deep, but it doesn't feel so heady that I'm not actually sure what's happening. Like, I have a pretty good idea of what's happening in his books. And so if I'm looking for a new comic to get in, that's usually, especially if it's someone I don't know, that's usually what I'm going to go for, is if I can grasp at least an idea of what's happening, and if it's well written. That's usually what I look for. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was going to say, one thing I notice about the writers that may depend a little bit too much on the assumption that the reader has the same level of encyclopedic knowledge of the particular publisher's universe as they do. That, to me, that's kind of lazy, because you're assuming too much, and you're writing. If you're not assuming, you're writing for a pretty small audience. The challenge to me is we're in a unique situation in that we're frontiersmen writers, for lack of a better name. We're creating a new world from scratch. So you have that unique tightrope walk of, okay, I've got to make this new, fresh. I've got to build the world. I've got to pull people in. So we don't have the luxury of having a half century of established continuity that we can juggle around, and just to me, one of my pet peeves for the big 2 these days is substituting continuity juggling and publicity stunts for just good storytelling.
Yeah.
Admittedly, it worked well for the big 2 in the 90s, to go outside and juggle continuity. Superman dies. Oh, Batman gets his back broken. Okay. So we're going to do that, and we're going to come back from it. That's great every now and then, but it's just like the incredible, endless number 1s coming out, with a 1-word change on the title. It's like, that's a publicity stunt. I think the readers are smarter than that, it annoys them. I also think that if you just publicity stunt a continuity that everybody's been, well, everybody already knows everything about Batman, so let's make him a green alien and he wears a now and a yellow cowl. And it's like, well, that's not really Batman, is it? I mean, why don't you just go with what it is and push yourself? It's going to be hard, Johnny, but push yourself to write within the continuity that's existed and done quite well for 70 years and write a cool Batman story without juggling continuity. Write a cool Spider-Man story without juggling continuity. And I understand it's going to be a little harder because you feel like everything's been covered, but you ever get that feeling that it's just about publicity stunts these days?
That's one of my major burnouts with them is everything is a major event now. Where or it's like, okay, you need to buy issues 1 through 5 of this, issues 5, 7 of this, and also get this. Like I'm like, I'll just take the hardback when it comes out, and I'll forego the expanded universe. But
they've been doing that for so long, and I learned, and it took me that long to learn. Yeah, you can try to convince me that I won't get the whole story if I don't buy this book that is really low on your sales list that you're trying to boost. I'm not buying, literally. I'm sorry. If I'm going to read the core book and I don't really understand what's going on, then I'm going to stop reading your core book. So
it's like I get the core X-Men and I get Sword because I like the concept of Sword, but I don't really deal with too much of the side stuff right now, except for X-Force off and on. But and I'm waiting for the hardcover of the major event to come out because I'm not buying 50,000 issues of everything else. Like, show me the Space God fight and some of the events around it. I don't need to know.
You mean like the King in Black stuff.
Yeah, which I was following Venom up to that point, so I am interested in it. But I don't need to know what's all happening with Symbiote Cat leading into it. It's giving me the core story. But I do. But what I will say is, some of the number one stuff is almost being done to countermand that, and they've almost fallen away from the past 2 years. Which is they'll do, all right, here's this writer, he's writing a chapter of the story, so he's getting issues 1 through 12 of, the Vaughn X-Men. Great, he's done. The chapter's done. Here's the next writer. Here's issue 1 through 12 of Brubaker, whatever. And so, that of idea of it's your story, write it within the guidelines of what happens before, but don't try to pull in every single element of the rest of the universe that you can just because you can. Whereas at some point in the late Brubaker stuff, we had X-Men number 272, and like, okay, you also need to read Inhumans so and so, also Captain America so and so, just to understand what's happening to this one panel.
No, see that? Yeah. No, see, make the title. Just tell the story in the title. The title hopping is a transparent marketing move to help sell weaker titles. We all know this. Yeah, it's like, guys, we know this, and nobody likes it. So people are voting with their with their pocketbooks. So I think most fans, if you ask them straight up, will say, no, I'd rather the story begin, middle, and end within a single title. Don't title hop. Yeah, just don't do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
But who are we? I mean, to tell the masters of the big two how to run their business. After all,
on the other hand, I'm also not going to buy most of this stuff anymore. So
pretty much that's why we're doing what we're doing.
So like, I'm really enjoying the Fantastic Four run that Dan Slott is doing. It had a King in Black crossover. But I just read the little blurb on the first page that said, okay, what do I need to know from King in Black to understand this story?
And if you are doing crossing over, like, so when we do the Kalis Wolf Hunter crossover issue,
how are y'all going to handle it?
Really strong blurbs. Blurbs are the best thing to happen to the big two. Where it's like, all right, if you've been out of comics for 5 years, here's the characters, here's their powers, here's where we are.
Yeah.
Yes.
And begin.
Yep.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I like
hey,
that idea.
guys,
Yeah.
time for me to go. I
All
gotta
right.
go to bed.
All right.
So I will see you guys. So the next week it starts at 8 Eastern. Is that right?
Yes, and the day before
That's
I'll be on Tuesdays to
correct.
be determined at 8 Pacific.
Right. Okay. I wonder if that means that I'll just be catching the second hour of the show instead of the first. I guess we'll find out.
All right.
All right.
Oh, you mean when you drop in? Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't know what they have planned or
Well,
what they're thinking. I've not spoke to Roland about it. I don't know.
yeah. All right. We'll figure it out.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Good night, guys.
Well, we'll see you next week, man.
Sounds good. Bye.
See you next week, Brent. Enjoyed it, my friend.
All right. We are moving into the second hour of the show. And, of course, we are brought to you by Daytona Beach Comic Convention and History List and History Camp America. So we are going to be changing up subjects a little bit here because it makes it better for editing the audio podcast. And
It does indeed.
we have a question in the YouTube channel, which I'm going to kind of extrapolate and turn in more of a subject that we were kind of talking about earlier.
Okay.
Stephen Brown asks, when he creates his characters, I try to make them relatable. What do you think about when you make a protagonist relatable in some way? And I'll kind of expand that into something we can use to develop a bunch of time, as Dean and I were also talking about what sort of music we're listening to when you're creating. So I'll kind of expand
That's
this open.
That's episode 12. I
Yes.
believe. They go back to 12. We covered
Yeah.
that.
So we're going to expand this, and I'm just going to talk about what kind of things do you call on for inspiration, all mediums, when you're creating characters or creating story, and how do you think it makes characters relatable? How do you think it makes things more interesting? So what do you pull on for inspiration, and how do you think that impacts your creative process in whatever way?
Really good question, Tim. Really good question. I'll jump in here. Initially, when I first got into comics, it was not just comic books that inspired me, but it was also film, and particularly genre film, but particularly the more atmospheric films. Ridley Scott's Alien and Blade Runner really pulled me into my visual style, which arguably is more moody, mysterious, and thick with atmospheric debris like ash or rain or snow or smoke or little pieces of dirt around, as Tommy well knows, because he's always inking my stuff, and it's always like, what are all these little specks of dirt all flying around?
Where's the fire? That's what I'm thinking. Why is all these little bits of flame? So little ash falling all over the place. I'm like, what is
ash?
This?
I know. It's just one of those things. I love that. So anyway, inspiration came from very visual storytelling, particularly Ridley Scott and the cinematography there, but also the classics like Star Wars and Indiana Jones and those types of films. But even into Coppola and Apocalypse Now was a big influence on my visual style. Then we come to music. Because I have a cinematic influence, then that also informed my musical taste, which began with the more expected composers like John Williams and Jerry Goldsmith, and James Horner, famous for the Star Trek theme for many of you out there who know already. But then progressed more into more contemporary things, like transitioning from Zimmer's work on Gladiator and then on to his work on just about everything in the early 2000s, like Pirates of the Caribbean, all the way to his Batman scores, but then Junkie XL and his music, and even the soundtrack to the latest Tron movie was well done. So depending on what I'm writing at the time, in this particular case, writing and creating something about fighting monsters in Victorian England, I'm listening a lot to Patrick Doyle's Henry V soundtrack, which is very knightly. Knight. And Star Wars material as well, and also Zimmer's Batman scores. But it does bring out something. I don't know about you guys, and Tommy helped us out with this too, but when you go into the zone, and for those writers and artists who know what I'm talking about, it's when everything around you in the real world disappears and you're just simply channeling your creative energy, and then you wake up about 2.5 hours later and realize, hey, I've been doing this for 2.5 hours out of the chair, and I didn't even notice the time has passed. So I like to create those types of zones, and music helps me more than anything to create those zones. So what about you guys? Tommy, what do you like to listen to when you're
it depends on what it is I'm doing. So if I'm writing, I can't. We've talked about this in the past. When I'm writing, whatever it's usually my kid hero stuff, because that's generally all I write for. My little cartoony stuff. It's I can't really have anything going on in the background. I kind of already designed the characters. I know what's going on. But when I'm writing the story, my brain doesn't work that way with the writing part of it. I just have to have it quiet. I really can't have anything. I'd rather just sit in a room with maybe a loud fan, or not somebody going, "What are you gonna draw?" Not that kind of a fan. I mean, like a ceiling fan or something. yeah.
A loud fan.
Some guy. Can you draw this for me? Can you draw this one? No.
Very nice.
Yeah, no. I have to. I need to turn that part of my brain on, I guess. I'm not sure exactly what part of the brain, but yeah, I can't. So I really can't have the TV on. I can't have music going. I can't have. I don't need to have like if I'm at home doing it and I'm really needing to do some housework or whatever. I can't have that thought in my head that I probably should be weeding outside, or doing cleaning the garage out or something. I have to be quiet as far as writing goes. But when it comes to the art part, when I'm inking or when I'm drawing, see, I've already put the time into the writing, right? So when I'm writing it, I'm visualizing it in my head. So once it comes down to putting it down, I could be anything. And I've told you guys before, I sit in front of the TV while I'm drawing, or I sit in front of we're with my wife and we're watching the Hallmark Channel or whatever. It doesn't matter at this point. It's like what you're saying. I'm in the zone. My brain already knows what it needs to draw. I just have to get it down on paper. Like when you guys are talking and I'm doing this inking, I'm seeing the lines before I even put them down. And so you see, what's cool about doing this digitally is I can get the line that I'm trying to get now, rather than when I was doing it on paper, which, once you got it, once you put it down, you can white it out and then redo it if you mess something up. But here, the lines I'm putting down are the ones that I've already seen in my head. So it could be anything for me, but as far as the music and stuff goes, I like everything but country music for the most part. I like bluegrass music, but I don't like that typical country music. So any kind of music's good. I like really hard, I like rap music. I like really hard heavy metal music, really thumping stuff. It's just, it just puts me into the zone. So I'm kind of watching TV. I can tell you what's going on the TV when it's over, and my wife will, did you watch this TV? Yeah, blah blah blah. Did this the girl from the mystery library at the Hallmark Channel thing? I knew what happened. I wasn't watching it, but I just know what was going on. But
Sure.
I'm in that zone, and I'm just putting it down. So it could be anything for me. But as far as writing goes, I can't have anything because I get distracted and I can't get it out of my head. So it has to be quiet when I'm writing.
Sure.
But when I do write, I do. Yeah, when I'm doing my writing for my books, I kind of block it out into I write the stuff, but it's still more of just drawing the pages in my head. So I figure out, I've got 5 pages for this. I got 3 pages for this, to tell my whatever's going to happen in this issue. I still kind of see the whole book as pages, and rather than just, this whole issue this is what needs to happen. I kind of, I kind of go, if so when I'm writing it down, I'm almost doing thumbnails in my head as I'm writing it down, and I leave out most of the stuff because I know when I come back to do the thumbnails, I'm going to put the things that I was thinking about writing. So yeah, I'm not really that great. Nobody would want to draw my stuff that I wrote because I don't write for other people. I just write for myself. So yeah, I guess that's kind of weird, but. So like Dean, when you're the story that I'm helping you on, are you actually? I know that you turned in a sort of stories. I know you didn't do a script, but did you? The plot of the story. I know you talked it over with Roland and stuff. How much of it did you write, and how much of it are you going to just draw because you already know what's going to be happening already, or did you need to? I mean, I guess. Mr. Tim, so your book, where it starts, where it ends, all that kind of stuff. Are you writing it the same way?
Yeah. So my writing process is I've talked about this before, but it's kind of 3 steps before it gets to the penciler. One is just kind of my rough here's the general breakdown over the volume. Here's the breakdown of each issue. Where does it start? Where does it end? That's the first phase. Second phase is then I go through and I do a Marvel style script where I just put in paragraphs for each page describing what happens, and that's what it gets sent to Roland typically, and then we will rearrange pages as needed or whatever, and then I'll do the DC style script, which is where I break down panels and dialogue and everything, and that's what gets sent to the penciler and letterer, and then I might go through and change dialogue again. I do keep it loose. I don't control my penciler. I don't say my word is law. So there were moments where AJ said, hey, I have this idea for his panel, or I have this idea for his page. Well, if you broke it up like this instead, or we did this action instead, and usually it's much better because he has that the more visual mind. So I'm super into it. But when I'm plotting, I can listen to just about everything or anything. So it's anything from, Bach to Mastodon and Black Sabbath or Gojira, just super heavy stuff. Or I listen to a lot of Machine Gun Kelly actually plotting out this one, a lot of pop punk type stuff, Blink-182. But when I go to doing any sort of scripting, I can't really listen to lyrics at all. So I do a lot of
because you start thinking about
so I start writing into the words. I
think that's what happens with me when I'm writing. If there's something going on, I'm actually paying too much attention. I think I'm writing the same way that I'm drawing, and so I can still hear all the stuff. My mind is capturing everything that's going on in the background, but I could never get it down.
So I have to match either feel or theme, and that's theming as in setting and everything, not the actual metaphorical theme of the story. But when I'm doing, I'll find something that either matches the time period. So listen to some World War II, 1940s big band type stuff, or the stuff that came out shortly thereafter in the late 40s, early 50s. There's orchestral, but almost there's a lot of sorrow in composition in those years, so that stuff works. Or I'll listen to suspense and tension music stuff like the Metal Gear Solid soundtrack has been great. Listen to a lot of Zimmer, or also some other sci-fi composers. The Blade Runner soundtracks are great. A lot of stuff from the 80s too. Escape from New York. all those sort of scores. Junkie XL, I listened to him before, really getting into his scoring, but I just listened to like his releases as just a DJ. So now he's doing like film scoring and emotive music. It's great. But one like the weird things is if I just match the feel of each scene, so kind of unrelated to the theme at all. One of my favorite things to listen to while writing action scenes is actually funk music, or like funk fusion. So a lot of hard beats with like fast breaks in them, or sudden trills, lots of loud, expressive percussion and brass, or very driven bass lines. So I guess kind of something you almost like see in, or if you're familiar with Cowboy Bebop, kind of the same style that their score got, but just a lot of stuff like that. Or if I'm listening to, or if I'm doing a more dialogue-y scene where it's a lot of back and forth, or verbal judo, where the character is trying to overcome a challenge just via deduction or via talking someone into a trap. I'm going to be listening to a lot of either smoother jazz or a newer subgenre called chill hop, where it's or lo-fi hip hop, where it's that same style, but it's much more subdued and diluted, traditional style jazz beats type stuff.
Speaking of cool and jazz, we seem to have a new visitor here.
Oh, look at that!
We have Mr. Scott Wakefield.
Good
Swake
evening, everyone.
in the house.
Please forgive my late arrival. Yes, I was trying to be a good friend. And cool and jazz. Okay, I have been described as smooth jazz before, but I can't say I'm a fan. I'm picking up that you're talking about what you listen to whilst you create. Is that the topic right now?
So the question was from the Stephen Brown in the YouTube. He's asking what we think about when we create characters, make them relatable, but we kind of extrapolated into what we consume as inspiration when creating. So music, film, and how that will impact you.
Okay. Well, I don't want to hop on and steamroll right into it, so.
Patriots,
there you go. Let's say I finished my go, so if you want to jump into it,
yeah. Well,
go for it.
I can't. I'm very bad at doing two things at once. So if music has lyrics that I want to sing along with, like if I'm always listening to music. I love music. If it has lyrics I'm singing along with, I can't write and think about the lyrics and sing along, because I'll be doing one or the other. Usually singing along, so I get zero writing done.
That's what my problem is with when writing.
I'm a huge classical music fan, and not to get too geeky and all that on the minutia, but classical meaning like Mozart and earlier, late class. Yeah. I love medieval. I love chant and not just the Gregorian, because that's what everybody says. I like all. Hildegard von Bingen is one of my absolute favorites. I'm a huge fan of the Baroque era, and Handel is one of my Baroque favorites. But so classical is my go-to for while I'm writing. But Steam Patriots I found lots and lots of great colonial 17 and 1800s music. There's a group called Hesperus, and they have they kind of span multiple styles, but they've got a couple albums. At least one that I found was specifically like colonial. It's like country, like folk. Like it's not like when I say country, I mean like country music for the 1700s. uh, John Dowland was another composer at the time that wrote lots of good stuff. So those a lot of jigs and reels and that sort of thing. But then for Steam Patriots, fife and drum stuff was very good for the action scenes, and there's lots of great albums out there. There's one called The Spirit of 76 that I really like. That was all. It's a mix of, I mean, from like Yankee Doodle to, you know, Reveille and Attack Retreat. All those, just the drums and those rhythms that would be for calling out, you know, maneuvers and so forth. But yeah, if it has words in it, I'm words that aren't like Latin or another language. I can't listen to those while I write because I'll be too distracted. But yeah, I almost always have music. I can't do, like, I know some people like, well, is it Tommy? Did you say sometimes you'll have the TV on and be watching a movie? Have a movie
I
going
always have
yeah.
When I'm doing art,
Yeah.
I can have anything going on. Art is something that I could just do. Okay, that makes it sound like I'm being a butthead. Well, I can do art. Even no, I can the art that I'm drawing, what I actually can do, I can do with whatever is going on. It could be a crowded room. It could be, you know, I bet I could do it at a football game or or wherever. You know, I can and still, for somehow or another, still pay attention to what's going on. Maybe I'm not watching it so much, but I can you know, piece it together because it's I don't know if it's because I've been doing it for such a long time that it's I can visualize whatever's on TV. I just look up every now and again to see who the characters are, and then I can hear them, and then I know what's going on. But I can still get the art and you know and still do an excellent job. But I cannot do it when I'm writing, even when it's my simple. You know, Zomboy walks into a room and the block boys get into a fight. You know, I can't do that while something's going on because there's no way I can think. My brain just does not do that. But as far as the art goes, I can do it with whatever is going on in the background. Yeah. Weird.
See, because I don't do the visual side of it, so I don't have a frame of reference for that. But yeah, writing, if I have to commit brain power. And there's brain power going to something else. It doesn't work for me. I have to do one or the other. If I were to listen to an audiobook, even sometimes while I'm driving, I will forget where I'm going or miss an exit. I will frequently do that. Just last weekend we were coming back from Maryland, and I was listening to Jurassic Park. I read it 30 years ago. It starts off really slow. When's the last time anyone's read Jurassic Park? All of Michael Crichton's books start off with a lot. They have a little bit of action, and then he does a lot of building. But it was approaching midnight, and I listening to Jurassic Park, and last minute remember. Oh, this is where I exit. Coming north out of Pennsylvania. I will space out, and I sometimes I wonder how many people I almost ran over, or how many red lights I drove.
How many did you run over?
I did.
The cops were looking for you. Yeah.
I will have no recollection of what just passed, and who knows how long. I've been listening to this book and driving, but I love audiobooks while I drive. The Audible, not to do a plug for them, but also LibriVox, right? That's the free one. Does anyone have experience? Like sometimes the person reading will be fantastic, and they'll read one chapter, and then it'll switch to another person who is just awful. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
I was doing a job where I was outside for it was months worth of outdoor work. And I kept my phone with me in a pocket, and I would queue up all LibriVox. They're all public domain books, so all the Sherlock Holmes books and all the Edgar Rice Burroughs books, and sometimes they were great, and sometimes you could barely understand what the person was saying, and it was so terrible. Some people put like way like tons of effort into the production quality, and some person sounds like they did the can on a string to record the, and it'll switch. It'll be like one chapter's great
when they were doing their
and the next one's what is going on? But hey, it's free. I guess I can't complain. Sure. Oh well. And they always throw the commercial in every. This is a LibriVox recording. Every chapter.
Oh, I can tell it stinks.
Yeah. I'm a fan. I love getting through. Sherlock Holmes stuff I've read or listened to. I don't know how many times. But I always forget the plots. I'm always that's who done it. I always forget.
Mm-hmm. Well, if I may suggest for your listening pleasure when you're writing, Scott, 19th century romantic idiom you would like as well. So one of the soundtracks that fits perfectly with you would be John Williams' The Patriot soundtrack.
Yes, that's a good yes. Yep. That makes perfect sense.
Soundtrack.
Yeah.
So, and Tim, to your subject matter, yeah, right. For Tim, seeing that you're writing about a British spy, I'm surprised no James Bond soundtracks. I mean, Casino Royale should be
true
in that mix somewhere.
Well, it's weird. James Bond is almost too, especially when he gets scored. Sometimes there's almost too much pop in certain moments. There's certainly moments of action, but I managed to get away with a surprisingly slow burn comic. Right. Yeah. Well,
that's how the Ian Fleming books are.
Yeah,
they're books not like the movies.
Yeah, no, the books are.
They're more espionage and more intrigue.
It's all like the Ian Fleming books, or John le Carre was also a huge inspiration. So the guy did Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and Out from the Cold.
Yeah.
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 So I'm ashamed to admit that I just came across. This is because I bought a lot of books, meaning sorry, not a lot from an auction, a single lot, and it was full of the Nick Carter spy books. Have you heard of those?
Yes.
I don't know how I've never heard of them.
There's a genre.
Yeah. There's 260 titles, and they were written from 1964 to 1990, and I don't know how I never heard of them.
Wow.
In this box of books that I wasn't intending, I didn't know what I was getting. It was cheap. It was full of almost all of the Nick Carter books. So I'm going through them to find out if I want to actually keep them, read them, or sell them, or what. I don't know. And Dean, I don't know. Dean, you're freezing on my screen. I don't know if it's.
Like I was telling the guys, I'm having a little trouble with the Wi-Fi tonight. That'll be fixed by next week. I'll be hardwired. I'm getting an adapter.
Oh, you ordered it. Great, cool.
But what I was going to say was, there's a whole genre. Yeah, I did. There's a whole genre of what they used to call men's action adventure fiction, and it included titles like Nick Carter, The Executioner, The Destroyer, all these, and they were basically all sort of pot boiler, dime store, drugstore novels, all around the same length. They all had similar covers, but it was basically, James Bond ripoffs. Some of them are pretty fun, though. Some of them have cool stuff. Nick Carter was one of those.
I don't know how I never heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm going to read them. We'll see.
Try one and just, it's kind of fun. It's kind of Chris Claremont-y.
I will say, there's some moments where you need just random kind of like very pulpy, just kind of candy fiction. There's one moment where I opened up just a random like Dungeons and Dragons property title, as well. This is very clearly, it's not Ari Salvatore, where it's exploring the psychology of all this. It was very much like, all right, chapter 2, we meet the exiled magical prince. Chapter 3, we meet the evil uncle. Perfect. We're deep in the pulp.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's the popcorn equivalent, right?
Yeah.
Right. So what was the original question that we were talking about? Inspiration or what inspires us?
Yeah. What do you kind of consume for in terms of inspiration when you're writing stuff? So stuff you might actively seek out, and if you want to talk about how it influences your characters or your plot, that as well. Or if you are trying to find inspiration where you're not sure how to flesh out a character and want to find a point of reference.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I started asking Dean, and he never finishes. Kind of goes into this for the Silverblade story. Do you have the whole thing at least? I know you don't have to have the whole thing written out, but do you have it all plotted? You know what the if is it a 4-issue thing? Is it already all figured out? Do you know what you're going to do? Have you the plot that you and Roland talked about, is it all fleshed out?
It is.
Okay, cool.
It is.
Okay.
It's all fleshed out. All four issues are plotted. I work when I'm writing for myself. I work particularly in Marvel style. So what I'll do as I go page to page is I'll break that plot down and extract it out into a page by page breakdown. And then what I'll do when lettering time comes is I'll send Roland, dialogue and narrative beats, page by page. But yeah, I don't really work when I'm working for myself like this. I don't really work from a formal script. But yeah, I know beginning, middle, end. It's 4 issues. It has very definite beginning, middle, end of each issue, cliffhangers at the end of 1, 2, and 3, and then everything wraps up in 4. So yeah.
Cool.
Or does
it?
We were talking earlier, Scott. I'm glad you're here because we were talking about how the Silverline universe was possibly going to cross over, and would the characters link up? And it was odd how, as we started talking, we realized the concepts are not so far apart and difficult to mesh together as we initially thought they might be.
You're talking the Silverblade and Steam Patriots world?
The Silverblade and Steam Patriots, but also Wolf Hunter and Kalis.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. I mean, it's odd how we found a way for all of them to intertwine without the typical either a tachyon reverse field or a time-traveling rift.
Yeah, we had found out that...
so I have to...
Scott from Kalis. We found that Scott from Kalis had spent much of the 1940s recruited by the OSS, and the OSS, of course, being a partner office to the Office of Unconventional Warfare in England.
Okay, well, I'm going to need to delete the tachyon ray that I've written into my story.
But when they do find
Dean says it's not necessary.
The time bubble that connects Wolf Hunter to Steam Patriots.
Yes. And if maybe we could get some World War II planes to fly into the Revolutionary War,
there you go.
That'd be fantastic. A couple of Spitfires, and then they could Ben Franklin could crash, and then he could put a steam engine into it, and then a huge propeller to fly the Spitfire back through. Or it'll be like Flight of the Phoenix. Both of them good movies. The first one, the remake, both of them are good movies. Bonus points, anyone out there, give me one actor from Flight of the Phoenix, the original Flight of the Phoenix. No one here yet. No googling Flight of the Phoenix. It's a great one. But yeah, they could redo the engine. They could hang on the wings and have to fly back to 1940 whatever.
Yeah.
Perfectly plausible.
Dean, I also had this, I was going to say, we also had this question. Willard is pretty staunchly British, so it might be interesting to see how he plays in that, as well as Dean's own characters, of course, being split in their national allegiances.
Oh yeah,
yes,
yeah. I have an American cavalry officer, retired, and then a British archaeologist. And as you might know already, the silver blades themselves are from the Middle Ages and possibly even before that. So the blades could appear in any time period.
Oh.
This is, the thread, the common thread is woven.
Mm-hmm.
But where I wonder where the Steam Patriots world extrapolates by the 1900s. Do we have steam powered dirigibles and whole flying cities, or like infernal engines and those sorts of things? We may have to retcon, destroy it all to start over. I have no idea.
We hit it with the we hit it with the City of Gold or Shangri-La effect, where it all gets taken into a secret world within the world.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the war, Ben Franklin realizes technology is too much, and
Okay. Oh, so Shangri-La. So last week I had a little family reunion, and I was able to sit and read for quite a while, which never happens, which was great. I just finished, and I think I talked about it many months ago, and I don't have the book here in front of me again. The Explorers Guild, and it was really, really good. It's a mix of prose and sequential, and it's a World War I era. They're looking for a Shangri-La, and what happens with it. So yeah, that's good. Yeah, the fog could envelop the world, and it goes off into its own realm, or just fix it all with time travel, like you originally said. That always fixes everything.
yep.
Solves every problem. Dean, one
Yes.
character from one actor from the original Flight of the Phoenix.
James Stewart.
Yes. Well done. Is Ernest Borgnine? No. Yes. Ernest Borgnine is in that one. Yes. Yeah. And who? There's another bigger name. He's the German. He's in other stuff. The blonde, right? Isn't he?
That
Isn't there a scientist
at the moment?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to Google. I'm not going to cheat. I don't remember.
That's all right. It's okay.
The
In the remake, was that Dennis Quaid? Was that? Yeah, I remember it being good.
It's good. Yeah. That's a classic right there. That's
For a while, I was on an Ernest Borgnine kick. Ice Station Zebra and
Escape from New York.
Escape from yes.
That was invoked earlier in the first hour because Tim actually listens. Wait for it. Young Tim, who I'm sure wasn't around when Escape from New York was released, listens.
I don't think I would.
Probably not. It listens to the soundtrack for Escape from New York. I mean, you want to reach back.
Yeah.
That's reaching way back, right? That's like me listening to the Alien soundtrack, which is excellent, by the way.
Yeah.
Excellent. And Blade Runner as well. I mean, that's from that same era. I mean, guys, the golden age of soundtracks, dude. Like, think about it. Raiders, Temple of Doom, Alien, Blade Runner, Star Wars, obviously. I mean, all those seminal pieces of work are right there in that little pocket between the late 70s and the mid 80s. I mean, think about that. And then you've got things like Back to the Future and, obviously the action stuff that came from Terminator. Think about that little era, and we're going to start that again. That's what Silverline is. Silverline is the comic book conceptual, shall we say, genesis of a new renaissance for comic concepts.
Yes.
I just declared it. That's it. That's what
It's tonight, June 16th.
Yes.
Everyone, you've heard it.
Yes.
You heard it. Dean said it.
I said it. There it is. It begins.
We're rating the next Demolition Man.
Okay.
I've attested before, I believe, and I'll attest again that I don't think Star Wars would be anything if it weren't for John Williams. So,
agreed.
No.
Soundtracks have gotten. We've talked about this a little too about how soundtracks are you can't think of a lot of memorable soundtracks now. I mean, they're good stuff. There's good stuff, but even the Marvel theme music is not that. I mean, it's no bum ba dum bum bum ba dum. It's
no. There's
it's notes.
Yeah, it's notes. The new guys seem to be doing a little bit more TV style, which I call incidental cues, rather than writing themes. In that, what I said, the 19th century romantic idiom is concerned more with characterizing through themes, which John Williams is a master of that. Jerry Goldsmith is a master of that. But I'll make some exceptions here. Hans Zimmer, and oddly enough, stage name Junkie XL are some examples of some newer composers who have gotten us back into the thematic realm. Because at first, let's take Dark Knight, just because we talked about that in the first hour too, off the air. If you listen to Zimmer's scores from Batman Begins to Dark Knight, then Dark Knight Rises, it does have an epic. By the time we get to Dark Knight Rises, which is basically a disaster film, you have that epic scope that, even though it's in Zimmer's, less than Williams' style in terms of recalling the 19th century romantic idiom, it's contemporary, but it does have that romantic scope. It's big. I don't know if you've listened to that score ever, anyone.
Sure, I've seen the movies, but it's not seared into my brain.
Yeah, but what is? I thought I had, which is very, very kind of funny, based off of Dean's references. The only superhero I can think of in current, I haven't got a massive glare in from the window.
Yeah, you are burned alive.
Sun.
Yes, I am. I'm ascending now. So the only superhero on current cinema who I can think of that has a really iconic theme song is Wonder Woman, and it's that immediate emotive theme. And
that's the best. One of the. That's a fantastic example.
The second here is Jointly Composed by Zimmer and Junkie XL.
There you go.
Oh.
I mean,
that's the best part of Batman versus Superman is Wonder Woman's theme song.
Yeah,
that's the not Wonder Woman necessarily in that movie, but her theme song.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Good one. Yeah, and it is interesting how it can set the tone too. Just there was a video I watched, and they were talking about the Thor, the first Thor, when his Asgardian friends show up, and they put in comical music. Like, it's kind of like, when his friends show up, and they changed this YouTube video, put dramatic music, and just the music, nothing else, completely changed the tone of them showing up, and they were still doing the same thing. But yeah, I mean, everybody knows that how music will affect, and of course it's vital to the feel, the tone, any foreshadowing, any impending doom or change in tone. But I think we talked about 2 weeks ago, Quiet Place 2, the girl is deaf, and so it's such a stark contrast. It's so notable when it goes silent and when there's nothing. So that's what I think that might be my favorite part of the Quiet Place movies, is that silence, that complete silence, and so it's well done. And
yes, if it's well placed, it's like jokes in a script.
Yeah.
If everyone's speaking like Chandler on the TV show Friends, then it's not as funny as if it's just Chandler.
Yeah.
Right.
That's my hit on Joss Whedon, because everybody talks like Chandler. But if you reserve it and you use those moments of silence just at the right time. Same thing with the James Bond theme in the Bond movies. If you reserve the Bond theme for the really Bondish cool stuff that's happening, it works better.
Which with the Daniel Craig, with Casino Royale, they held off the whole theme right at the end, right?
Yes, they did.
Didn't they?
It was actually pretty effective because David Arnold did, I believe it was David Arnold, he did a tremendous job linking the style of the past Bond films to the newer ones, and then saving that Bond theme until he's, you know, carrying the big gun and he traps Mr. White at the very end, and you know, reveals who he is. You know, the name is Bond, James Bond, and it's just like, boom, okay, we got it. Right. Which, by the way, David Arnold, I don't know if you guys are familiar with his scoring, but he made a big splash. He's from the UK. He made a big splash with the Stargate soundtrack, which is very underrated and never talked about, but it is fantastic.
It's so good.
It's so good. And then he got to do the Bond, the Pierce Brosnan films are mostly David Arnold. I don't think he did the first one, but starting with Tomorrow Never Dies up until Brosnan's full run. And he did a tremendous job doing nods to John Barry, who did the 60s and some of the 70s Bonds. So did a great job. Good score. But if you like, I mean, Stargate is just...
I go to Stargate and the SG-1 series for inspiration or motif on just about every type of story, kind of regardless of what it's at, because it's science fiction but fantasy. It has military stuff, spy stuff, but also family stuff. It's
great characters.
It's just dense. It's a tapestry.
Yeah,
is what it is.
It's it contains both forms of high literature. A man comes to town, and a man goes on an adventure. It's
great. Underrated score, everybody.
Yes.
Way to go, David Arnold. So, where is he now? He should have scored like the Avengers movies, because the guys are getting. I mean, no offense to anybody, but I can't remember any of the scores for the Marvel movies.
No.
They're like, huh? What? Huh? Ooh?
Yeah.
What?
I know one. Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. Right, Sam Raimi. Yes.
I don't think that was actually in the movie.
I think it got referenced actually, but what I actually remember the most is actually the theme from the '90s Spider-Man cartoon, which is the one where they kind of did the Tool-esque weird, like electronic hard rock radioactive Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the Marvel logo going, and I'm trying to like the tune is like.
But I just watched the Loki stuff yesterday. You think I'd remember what it was?
With the,
it's just not
the Batman.
The Batman theme.
Batman animated series, which was taken from
Danny Elfman's.
Yes.
Danny Elfman's score from 1989 Batman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of the Marvel tune.
No, you can't think, right?
Yeah.
So how does the Batman theme go? You're on the spot, Scott. Go for it, man. Come on. How's it go? Come on.
Nah, I can't now.
See? Come on, Tommy knows it. You know
I'm sitting right next to the TV. I'm gonna put it on.
Bring it up, man. Bring it up. Let's go.
Now I got Star Trek in my head.
While he's bringing that up, I'll bring the Zimmer Batman theme. It's 2 notes. Bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum.
That's just it. 2 notes.
Bum, bum. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like the Jeopardy song.
The Jeopardy. You're such a kid.
I gotta get it out of my system. Which is the theme from Star Trek 1 that they reused, right? Yes.
Ah, very good. Written by Jerry Goldsmith, by the way.
Yes. Oh, yes. I can't.
See that one? Yeah, the Elfman theme escapes me. The Zimmer theme sticks in my head. I was trying to remember the Superman theme from the Wayback Machine. Does anybody know that one? The John Williams, the Christopher Reeve Superman music. That was just such an.
Oh, that's the 1940s. That's the Fleischer.
1940s.
That was so good. Y'all remember all
Let me think here. Dun, 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 dun. I know the little background.
For all the wrong reasons, the DC theme music the most is the Clint Eastwood Batman.
What?
What?
The TV show Batman. The no. Adam West. Adam West. Clint Eastwood. Gee, yeah.
You mean Adam West?
Yes.
Right. I was like Eastwood.
No. First name cardinal direction.
Yeah. Got it. Okay.
Love to see a Clint Eastwood
Really?
Batman.
No.
That'd be
Do you
good.
feel lucky, Joker? He's so cool. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
So yes, that's a that's who wrote that one? That's not-
That's the Superman.
Yeah, that's it. That's John Williams.
Yeah.
John
Yes.
Williams. See, because all of those movies came out at the same time. That one,
Yeah.
And then Star Wars and all those, they all had that same
They're all
almost,
same,
and then
yeah.
even the little bit of the it all had that same
Mm-hmm.
that
Same genre,
baritone.
same period
Yeah.
feel. That was just really, really popular back then. And who doesn't remember the Raiders theme,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
right? I mean, Indiana Jones theme. Which, by the way, Indiana Jones 5, I heard it got put on hold.
Uh-oh.
I don't know, guys. It's going the way of the Matt Reeves Batman. They're both like on hold.
Yeah.
So probably the Matt Reeves Batman maybe for the best because Twilight Batman and everything.
Oh, Robert Pattinson. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It doesn't
I-
bode well. Yeah.
I love the Indiana Jones movies. Harrison Ford been a good guy,
Mm-hmm.
but
But-
he's 97 years old.
It's a little.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's recast that puppy.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah.
No, I heard somebody said, and it's the wisest bit of movie making advice, I think, let's stop remaking all the good movies. Remake the bad movies.
Yeah.
So they're good.
Ooh.
Yeah. What? Don't remake Back to the Future or Princess Bride.
Right.
Don't remake. Dune.
I know.
Yeah, I say, God bless David Lynch. He is Eraserhead is a treasure, but remaking Dune, I am so excited.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dune.
Yeah.
Great idea. Great idea. How about remake the Wild Wild West?
Oh yeah.
I mean, why not? I mean, go for it. It's been long enough, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Let's remake The Hobbit already. Let's
Yeah.
Let's go. Come on. Let's
But
remake Lord of the Rings already.
It is
I mean,
already-
I know it's hard. I know it's gonna be hard.
And, Dean, it's been 20 years,
Yes.
so
Ouch.
it's
well, I don't know if we make Real Lord of the Rings, but I know they are doing a Amazon show following the Dunedain Rangers.
Oh, okay.
So
I-
They
Yeah.
I'm
may
down
do
for that.
something
I'm
with
down with
the Lord of the Rings because over in the new Universal
Yeah.
theme park, the one that they're building now, they're saying that there is going to be a Lord of the Rings land over in there.
Yes!
That's one of the things.
Mm.
So
Middle Earth. Oh
Yeah.
man, I'm there.
Yep.
Dude, I'm so
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
cool.
That would be
so you
I like
never
that.
know.
we are coming up on
Peter
that
Gunn
time.
theme.
okay.
That
Peter
time.
Gunn.
That time.
Yeah.
That time.
I do not want to. Whoever started this fiasco can end
No,
it.
actually,
I'm
the
not
three
gonna-
of us are going to jump off, and then you gotta
Scott,
stick
you
around
here for the
an
next hour, yeah.
I can do it. I'll just sing the Peter Gunn theme and talk about music.
All right. Well, this long-lasting diatribe has been Wednesday Ram. Wednesday Ram.
Wednesday ramble.
Wednesday Ramble. And we are going to be calling it a night here. So we're going to be letting you guys know where you can find it shortly. But as a reminder, our schedule is changing next week. The Wednesday and Sunday shows will be at 8 Eastern. And Tuesday is where I will now be located
And yours will be later.
It'll be later. We're going to be doing it 8 Pacific time, so we are going to be doing the West
That'll
Coast
be
Avengers
11
of Silverline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up late with Silverline.
Yeah.
I probably won't be joining, but I may drop in on your show every now and again.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Tim, just to say hello, that kind of thing, to help y'all get it rolling.
But
and then,
I appreciate it.
And then I'll pull a Brent and say, I got to go to bed.
Yep.
Literally, because it will be midnight. And
Yes.
Yeah.
we'll have to go to bed.
Yeah, it'll be the West Coast show, so bring your best floral shirts and sunglasses. All right, so
You're surfer dude.
Scott, where can people find you around the internet?
On the internet, I am still at Steam Patriots on Facebook and Instagram. My posts have slowed remarkably. The Kickstarter, where I was posting about 78 times a day. And so now I've toned it down a bit, but I'll get back there. At Steam Patriots and steampatriots.us, and I actually think I need to fix that link because it's not working right now. So that's where I am, and all of you out there who are waiting for your comic book, it's coming soon. So be prepared. All right, keep checking your actual mailbox.
You missed that announcement in the first hour. The order is in, and I've started working on the files, and so it's almost probably in the next week or so they'll be done. And people should have them in their hands. Yep.
It's excellent.
After we get off the air, I need to talk to you. So don't go anywhere.
Okay. I'll be here. I'll go anywhere.
All right. And Tom, where can people find you?
Go just check out everywhere. Thomas Flormonte. You spell Flormonte Florimonte. I know it sounds like it should be spelled some other kind of way, but it's spelled just like it sounds to me anyway. So just I'm mostly on Facebook. Check me out. I have a Thomas at it's the infernostudios.com. You can get links there to all my stuff over at Indie Planet, and just check me out. I'm everywhere.
Everywhere.
All right, and Dean.
Yes, you can find me at all the usual places. Facebook, Dean Zachary and Dean Zachary Artist. Comic Art Fans under Dean Zachary, where I have extensive galleries. And Comic Vine, where you can find my bibliography. And I'll be here on Wednesday, WHAM, next week at the earlier time, along with Scott and others like Tommy, and hopefully a big crowd of folks. So looking forward to it.
All right. And I am Tim TK Writer. You can find me on every social media at Tim TK Writer. And I will be next week on the Tuesday show. You can find me on Twitch most weekends and more days of the week now at AgriBacon. And you can also look for notifications for different shows, The Unexplained, as well as something maybe in the works, possibly called Only Gamers, where we do tabletop wargaming and other type of things where we'll be painting minis and doing battle reports and all that. So this has been Wednesday WHAM. We all have books that you can buy at Indie Planet, Silverline Comics, and in future Kickstarters. And we will wish you a good night. And until next week,
make
mine Silverline.
I don't have my Yoda. It's sitting over there.
I got